Okay.
Redeem yourself,
So
kid.
we
All right,
wanted
what's
to
going
end
on?
today on a happy story, and we did a poll a little earlier today. None of you guys are Tulsi fans. Not Tulsi fans. That is not what I meant to say. You'll see what I meant to say in a second, which I will now say. None of you guys are Kamala fans. I was thinking of her getting destroyed by Tulsi Gabbard, and I guess the dominant name flipped in my head. So let's talk about the death, right now, as we speak, collapse of Kamala Harris's campaign and how everything is not her fault. Let's begin. Kamala Harris's campaign is careening towards a crack up. Interesting wording. I like it. I think there's better ways to say it, but I still like it. I just love this story. I love it. And all the blame is being put on her campaign manager, Juan Rodriguez. Of course, it's not her fault. It's her campaign manager. Kamala did nothing wrong. After Rodriguez announced dozens of layoffs and redeployments in late October, which we covered and called very stupid, but also maybe the only thing they could do because Kamala's a bad candidate with a terrible record. They're putting all their money. They let staffers go at headquarters, which, headquarters staff, oh no, the humanity. And people are quitting. They held Rodriguez responsible for questionable budgeting decisions, including continuing to bring on new hires shortly before layoffs begin. Because as we know, campaign managers simply appear, and you have to use them in your campaign. You don't get to choose who you hire and fire. Not your choice. Kamala did nothing wrong. The person that they talked to that was, again, everyone they're speaking to are aides confidentially talking about this because, of course, the person described the current state of the campaign in blunt terms: no discipline, no plan, no strategy. You could have asked us. We would have said that about a year ago, and we did say that about a year ago.
was saying she was a front runner,
She was
Daniel.
fantastic. Oh, yeah, no question. In the internal strife is... the latest discouraging development for Harris's once encouraging candidacy. When? Just because mainstream media said it, that means it once encouraging? No, it was always terrible. We always said this. This is a wonderful article, and I'm still happy reading. Let's continue. She slid back into low single digits and is now banking on a top-tier performance in Iowa to pull her back into contention. She's not going to make top 4. Doesn't matter. They wasted their money. They planned their entire campaign wrong with a bad candidate. Let's continue. During recent meetings, aides pressed Rodriguez. And I gotta say, I feel bad that this Rodriguez fellow is taking all the heat. It must suck to be called Juan Rodriguez in Kamala Harris's campaign with all the insinuations and all the talking that she's done and how she's framed a campaign which, and to quote Harris, is, a proud black woman doing her thing. So, I feel bad for this Rodriguez guy. That's all I'm saying.
If you want to be interviewed by Heartland's Media and give
We'll
us
talk
real
to you.
truths,
We'll tell you. Just cry on our shoulder. But this is literally everything that she built her identity politics, the way she ran everything, the way she laughed at parents going to jail for truancy. All of it's coming back to her. But I thought, as she put to Tulsi Gabbard, she's a top-tier candidate and doesn't have to worry about low life like Tulsi Gabbard. Well, okay, let's continue. You can tell I'm enjoying this story, I hope. At one point during the meeting, more than 2 hours discussion, Maya Harris herself turned to Rodriguez and challenged him in front of 20 staffers. Yeah, I mean, that's the way you deal with a bad management problem, is do it in front of everyone.
No, that's the worst thing you want to do.
You know when we're going to fight on when we have issues in the company? We're just going to do it on air because that makes complete sense. Anyway, a bunch of people are listening on the phone call, and that didn't go a lot of places. So... Rodriguez seemed unprepared for the exchange, probably because he wasn't expecting to be chewed out on a phone call with a dozen people and all the entire staff. Anyway, according to the people present, they walked out with little consensus on how to prioritize upcoming events and strategies. It sounds like no one has any idea what to do, but they're just like, the person in charge, their fault. Okay. In late October, Rodriguez informed staff that he was deploying aides from Iowa to other states and laying off dozens of others, including the campaign's headquarters. He said at the time that the move was driven by the need to stash enough money for a 7-figure TV buy in the weeks before Iowa caucuses, which we covered. However, I just learned that now it's unclear whether Harris will have the money to do so. So the reason they shut down everything and consolidated into Iowa might not even happen because they don't have the money. Wonderful. Anyway, keep going. Where was I? The former aide said people in the campaign began warning of declining revenues early, but the leadership dysfunction around Rodriguez, Harris, and others convinced the people that Harris wasn't getting an unvarnished view of the picture. I don't think anyone wanted to tell her, a former aide said, adding, I still don't think she knows the severity. What kind of ship are you running? Let's just say her second in commands aren't telling her the real story, what's actually happened, the truth of the matter. Why are all these aides that are complaining not telling her either?
Daniel,
that sounds like they're not taking responsibility. I got something to tell you right now.
There's two people who are speaking truth in this live stream chat. Gray Walker vet for Tulsi. The only thing Kamala did wrong was run, and then S Ogo basically wrote Kamala got Tulsi'd. So that's really what happened.
This is so much. I love karma. I mean, I don't believe in karma, but I love when I see something I can call karma. Let's say that. Anyway, this might be my favorite part of it. Other aides expressed fears that the candidate is not being advised of the gravity of the situation, gravity of the organizational troubles, and they question the wisdom of firing junior and mid-level staffers, while the main people empowered to make decisions have all been spared. Now, I want to ask you a question. These people, these Kamala Pro Capitalism, blah, 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 send parents' kids to jail for truancy people. Do you ever think that in their history, they've ever complained about a massive layoff that wasn't them? That they've ever said, hey, there's an issue when all the workers are fired and the management stays, as happens with every single corporate layoff? No, they didn't. But when it happens to them, oh boy, is it not the right idea when it's their job on the line. Right. It sounds to me like what we're really seeing is a bunch of know-nothings wasting money on a candidate that wasn't going anywhere, that literally got knocked down by a retort by someone who at the time was polling 1%.
And was being smeared by corporate media. But I want to mention something else, too. Someone in the live stream chat mentioned, hey, why are we covering a candidate whose campaign is done? The reason why we're
Because it's fun.
Not only is it fun, but the reason why we want to cover it and why we want to acknowledge these corporate candidates that are falling apart is that it goes to show you that ABC, CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, New York Times, they are wrong, dead wrong when they're saying like people like Pete Buttigieg or Beto O'Rourke or Kamala Harris or Cory Booker are these leading candidates. But in fact, they don't have momentum. The only thing they have going for them is, yes, occasionally name recognition, but also corporate donations and billionaires supporting their campaign. Kamala Harris is the prime example of the establishment falling apart. Kamala Harris is an example of the establishment being greedy, because remember, there was at one point in time early on in this race, before any debates happened, before we even moved to this new studio, even before we went to our other older studio, a lot of people were saying that Kamala Harris was going to make it all the way to the end. But during the second Democratic debate, Tulsi Gabbard, polling at 1%, managed to destroy a neoliberal centrist candidate. This should show all of you that the Democrats are nothing more than a paper tiger surrounded by a paper wall, and that they can be easily defeated. The only thing is it requires vigilance and, more importantly, everyone to get involved right now in this election cycle and know the rules and regulations of your state's primary when it happens. Because if we want a strong progressive to beat Bernie Sanders, we have to be prepared to call out the hypocrisy of the corporate media, but also the hypocrisy of the establishment. But we are running short. Okay, you're going to have the final vote.
I just want to say why I love this so much, why I'm so happy. This is like one of those things where, like, to get me like happy about something like this, you got to have a lot of things kind of happening at once, because it's like it's so much has happened in this life.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, it was very quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we have a few minutes. This is a proud person who didn't deserve the position she had originally, who took advantage of her position to hurt people, who then turned, I'm talking about Kamala, just so it's clear, turned around and ran for office and said that she did the exact opposite of that, tried to hide her record. I thought a year ago that she was going to be a top contender. I actually thought it was going to be between her and Bernie. What I never saw coming was Tulsi Gabbard doing what she did. And now Kamala, this once proud contender who probably thought that she had a real chance to be the next president, her campaign is falling apart. Her message is falling apart. It never came together in the first place.
She never had a message.
Her staff is internally collapsing. She's running out of money, and that makes me happy.
It should make all of you happy. Oh,
there we go.
Well,
That's it.
imagine if
Thank
Bernie
you,
Sanders
Paul.
took off the gloves like Tulsi
Yeah.
Gabbard did in that second debate. He would take down all those corporate candidates like
Bernie's
Joe
not going to do
Biden
that.
and
Yeah.
Mayor Pete.
I mean, yeah, he should. I agree
Pete
with you, but
Buttigieg.
but that's not how Bernie Sanders does things. Yeah, I agree that.
Well, that's why he
be
should
doing-
fire his advisors.
Well, I mean, that's a different story altogether. I mean,
Because he really needs to take off the gloves to knock all these people
He
down.
needs to hire all those Kamala people. They need a home. They're
Oh, right.
unemployed. They're on the breadline. Please help me.
Yeah, I seriously doubt she makes it even to Iowa. She's got a
At least she's not throwing combs at people, just handcuffs. Well,
yeah.
I guess that's worse. Never mind.
or staplers.
I have no pity
like
for her.
Amy Klobuchar.